Thank you.
No worries. Thank you. So Mary, you have the floor for the market overview.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Priscilla. Thank you, Flavie, as well. So today the conversation and therefore the market presentation will focus on English-speaking Sub-Saharan Africa. We decided to include Ethiopia in the spectrum. Also, it's an AMHARIC-speaking country because of first the size of this market, and second the current opening of the country that will have an increasing weight in the years to come. So together, the 18 countries at stake today represent almost 640 million inhabitants, 145 million households, among which 65 million has access to a television. So despite significant underdevelopment of infrastructure in the region, the area shows a high adoption of mobile broadband, as you can see on the map on the right, that shows the penetration rates by country. Penetration are calculated based on population, which inflates a little bit the figures. In fact, the region is the mostly prepared market and presents a quite high rate of dual SIM cards possession. However, this clearly shows the widespread adoption of the mobile internet and the inherent disparity within the region. Some countries like South Africa, Lesotho, and Botswana have high penetrations, while West Africa and Ethiopia are still a little bit behind, with around 60% penetration on population. Those impressive rates can be explained by the excellent establishment of mobile operators that often bundle value-added services and attractive entertainment partnership with data offers. But most of all, the region still lacks alternative communication networks. Here we can see the evolution of the global connectivity within the region, both on wired and mobile broadband. Growth in fixed connection is noticeable, and especially on fiber and high-speed connections. But such developments need high investment and are led mostly in the urban areas. Outside South Africa, that actually represents almost half of the current wired fiber to the home connections, such networks remain anecdotal. As a result, the internet in the region is mostly mobile, and we can see that 4G is steadily growing and is already accessible in most countries of the region. The increase in mobile internet use is supported by the widespread adoption of smartphones, as you can see on the right. Indeed, market prices are falling down, and some smartphones like Hisense or Orange's MWC are on sale for less than 30 euros. So the equipment of households and individuals, as well as the availability of affordable internet offers, are crucial for the development of an OTT market. This market must then be able to rely on a local qualitative offer, which we are going to see right here. OTT currently presents 4 different types of services developed by 4 different operators within the region. So we have first the SVOD players, SVOD services based on a daily, monthly, or annual subscription. We can see that the giants Netflix and Amazon Prime are in this segment, of course, but also local players such as MultiChoice, Showmax, the Iroko offer from the Nigerian studio Iroko Partners, or the TracePlays catalog. More and more new players are coming and developing the use of legal video consumption. We will talk about that later with Michael as well. And on the map on the right, you can see the wide range of services per country that develop specific local offer. We can see that South Africa is the most attractive country thanks to a greater connectivity and more developed market in terms of value. There are also AVOD offers whose business model is based on advertising. To date, almost all the market is in the hands of international services that are well known to advertisers, namely Facebook and YouTube. Mobile operators are not to be left behind and offer video content as well. MTN, Airtel, and Orange are active in this segment, which in details, the model is that for a small fee included in the bill, subscribers can access a specific video library. Some of those models are highly successful, such as Vodacom's, which counts around 1.3 million subscribers to its video play platform in South Africa. And finally, pay TV operators are also going digital via their TV Everywhere services, which allow access to paid content via a mobile phone or digital screen. So when compared to regions like Europe or compared to the United States, such an ecosystem may look limited, especially in terms of revenues. However, the growth is significant and the number of players is increasing with more and more reliable models. Also, in the future, the OTT market in sub-Saharan Africa will be able to count on a continuous and significant development of the mobile connectivity. So we can note the growing share of 4G and the timid appearance of 5G in the region. The development and adoption of mobile money services displayed on the right is helping to overcome the lack of widespread payment methods. So hence, the conditions seem to be in place to develop an OTT offer suitable for mobile use. Priscilla, I give you back the end for the conversation of today.
Thank you very much, Marie, for this insightful presentation. So we have seen that the audiovisual landscape in Africa is going through a massive revolution, first by the rise of digital technology and of internet consumption. So we have also see that there is a huge potential for OTT content and online video consumption. And I just remind our attendees present that you have the possibility to ask for questions, and you can drop your question on the Zoom control bar. You have the Q&A, so you can ask your question to our speakers present today. So diving into the conversation, so I would like to, first of all, to ask Greg, Sami, and Michael, the first introduction question. So what are following the presentation that we have just seen, so what are the characteristics of OTT consumption today in SSA, and how do your offer match this trend? So maybe we can start with Greg.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks, Priscilla. I think in general, 2020 has been a standout year for consumption. I think we anticipated this was going to be the start of the streaming decade, but I think what we didn't expect was how much it was going to be accelerated with this COVID-19 pandemic that has forced everyone to stay at home and consume volumes and volumes of content. And I think this massive upsurge hasn't been only on streaming. We've also seen increasing numbers with the linear model as well. But from a sub-Saharan perspective, we're still seeing that linear TV is really strong with the likes of the multi-choices, Canal Plus, Star Times, having significant subscriber numbers. So we definitely seen Africa at a different stage of its digital evolution versus potentially the rest of the world, and we're still seeing some structural challenges. As Marie presented earlier, we've seen impressive growth in mobile. She spoke about mobile broadband broadband penetration and how this is expected to accelerate over the next 5 years. But we're still seeing a lot of headwinds in terms of connectivity issues, data pricing, and greater flexibility around packages. And I think, you know, this has been evidenced by some of the OTT failures that we've seen in the past year or so. You know, one thinks of Cell C Black closing, you know, December last year, and both iFlix and Quasi collapsing in late 2018. The market is to a large extent driven by YouTube and Netflix, you know, as shown in Marie's presentation. However, on the SVOD side, local players such as Showmax and Iroko also gaining strong traction, especially driven in the local content offers. And we're also seeing strong growth driven by OTT offerings from the MVPD players in the market. MultiChoice have ramped up their scale play with their dishless streaming DSTV Now proposition, and also looking to be a super aggregator for many other OTT products. Showmax have launched their Showmax Pro Sports add-on. OpenView's OVHD preset service also recently announced moving into the OTT space. And similarly, StarTimes and Canal Plus are also pushing their TV Everywhere service to ensure that they also compete in this digital space. But, you know, where we as Viacom CBS have seen significant growth in 2020 has been in the mobile streaming and VOD content space. From having no mobile partnerships prior to 2020, we're now in various stages of finalizing deals with 5 different operators across all parts of Africa. And we also launched our Noggin subscription video service with Apple TV early in April across 14 key African markets. It's essentially a preschool learning app with learning games and Nickelodeon video content and books. You know, so in closing, I believe consumers have never had as much choice as they've had up until now. And, you know, I expect this is only going to accelerate over the next 3 to 5 years.
Thank you very much, Greg. Sami, maybe you as a telecom operator, you can maybe give us an overview of the characteristic of the OTT consumption in SSA today, and how do you formulate your offer to match this trend?
Yes, so thank you, Priscilla, and happy to be here to share with the panel and the audience. To reply to your question and my opinion, to the consumption is linked to the challenge itself. So it's linked to Africa challenge itself, as Africa itself is a challenge, but a great and exciting challenge for a telco like Orange. The Africa is the fast growing area in the worldwide in terms of population. 1/3 of the population is under 30 years old. The second point is the population in dense urban area will double in 2050. And the last point is internet traffic in these urban cities and among this young population is increasing on mobile very drastically. So, and the traffic growth will double every year, where it is only 25% in Europe, in the US. So the challenge are linked to this. To understand what is OTT in Africa, you need to understand this and to adapt the OTT the offer to this consumption, meaning young population, more segmentation toward the fan series, movies, niche segments, and so on to start, as it is not a mature market so yet. You need also to target with the right capacity the binge viewing in the dense area and anywhere consumption. And finally, you need to provide, the good device to have the best quality and multi-stream and multiple account access. This is for my opinion, the main characteristic of this consumption. One is very interesting is that Africa has leapfrogged many technologies. So we switch from Africa directly on mobile, and we switch directly from pay TV to OTT. So that's why, as mentioned by Greg, players like DSTV and Canal Plus are investing even in content production on OTT. Even broadcasters are now betting on the fact they will air the content on the OTT. So this is the final trend. And as an operator, we act as a smart aggregator, smart distributor. We want to distribute the best brands to offer the most diversified catalog. For sure, to target first maybe young population and also these early adopters of the SVOD. And also design the right package, because it's a matter of packaging. We act as a distributor, so we need to package properly the data and the VOD to provide at affordable cost the service for everybody.
Thank you very much, Sami. So Michael, as an OTT player in the market, so according to you, so what are the main characteristics of the OTT consumption in sub-Saharan Africa? And also, what about your offer? So how do you match your offer?
Yes, well, in the last 12 months or so, we've seen significant increase in OTT consumption in this part. It's always been trying to grow, but there are limitations in this part. The bulk of which is price. In this part of the world, we observe that the cost of a service or a product is primarily determined by price. And what makes the price so significant in terms of OTT usually is data costs. So there could be an offer. For example, I heard, I believe it was Craig, or was it Sami, I forget now, who mentioned YouTube and those free streaming services. However, there is a streaming cost to that. And that streaming cost is the cost of your internet subscription. So we find that this is a significant limitation in this part, even though the market is growing with the spread, with the increase in broadband penetration and also mobile smartphone usage in this part. That limitation, we as a company, as Super TV, felt in order to enter the market properly and provide real value, we felt we had to address that limitation of data cost. So our model typically partners with telcos and allows the subscribers to stream live TV and VOD with zero data, okay? So there is a subscription cost, manageable and affordable to the best of our ability. However, we have tried to eliminate the data costs for the market. So it is growing. Local content is increasing and getting much better. Of course, the Western content is still very much consumed here, most in particular by the higher echelons of the market. But there's much more room to grow. And we're very excited to be where we are, and we look forward to what comes up next. So thank you.
So thank you very much, Michael. Also talking about telco partnership, with OTT and telco partnership. So we will address this question later in this panel. So Greg, maybe from a Viacom CBS perspective, so what are the most popular type of content in Africa and also the easiest to monetize?
Yeah, you know, I think it's fair to say that both international content and local content has a place and performs well. You know, there's clearly an appreciation for international content when you look at some of the top performing shows this year. You know, shows like Umbrella Academy on Netflix, The Grand Tour on Amazon, Narcos. You know, they've all done exceptionally well. You know, and also I think consumption is spread across multiple genres. However, for us, you know, local content drives viewerships, and with regards to monetization, local resonating content is, you know, is a must-have. You know, I think when you look at the first half of this year, Netflix has picked up more than 5 drama series and a couple of movie titles from South Africa, Nigeria, Kenya, Zambia, and Zimbabwe. And you know, I think they really understand the need of not only relying on international content, but that local relevance to drive subs. From a Viacom CBS perspective, we also find that local telenovelas like The Queen and reality shows are really popular. Based on these trends, we're launching our own first local BT telenovela this September called Sono, which has really powerful storytelling that can also travel internationally. And then, reality series with local influencers, celebrities are also super popular. Current examples are Fake It Till You Make It with Lesizwe, Boiti Own Your Throne, Have Faith with Faith Nketse. These reality shows looking into the lives of TV and social media personalities typically rank in our top performing shows. And then since the lockdown in March, we've seen high demand on YouTube and social media platforms for virtual events, especially music events. The stay-at-home basement music sessions with African artists and DJs have done exceptionally well. And in May, we did a fully virtual Africa Day benefit concert in partnership with YouTube that featured music talent from across the African continent. And then finally, localizing language is also really critical on a continent of 54 different countries. In May, we launched an AMHARIC language addition to our Nick Jr. channel across Ethiopia and Eritrea, and have seen a significant uplift in views due to this localization.
Michael, maybe from your perspective, so what are the most popular type of content, especially for your platform that you have, Super TV, and also the monetization process?
Unfortunately, during our proof of concept, because we were just on the verge of doing our full commercial launch, during our proof of concept, our spread of content was a bit limited. So there was some pushback from the market, but we were able to observe from the back end clearly that there was significant demand for local content. So the box office type of cinema success stories always did very well. Local content is improving, like I had said earlier. So there's a significant demand for that, and it's going to keep getting bigger and bigger. But here, the tastes vary and are very widespread. So we also observed that there's huge demand for content from the Asian region, in particular Bollywood, and even now, very, very popular is Korean drama series and those types of things. But that doesn't take away from the Hollywood box office studio type content. Unfortunately for us, those are more higher end and more expensive and more difficult for the common market to access easily. However, everyone aspires to view the content from the bigger studios from Hollywood and internationally and such and such. But in terms of ratios and market share, I would say local content would potentially be approaching about half of the market requirement, half of the market demand. A challenge here, I know I'm not supposed to speak about challenges, but a challenge here is distribution, right? So distribution, the lack of adequate distribution channels so far has been a hindrance to the consumption of the content. So, but these are things that we're improving on as we go along. Super TV, our platform, has an advantage in the sense that we can easily observe the data of what is consumed from the back end. As we progress, we will continually provide what people demand for. The demand being local content, Asian content, and of course, Westernized content. Thank you.
So thank you, Michael. So Sami and Michael talk about the challenges within the market. So as a telco, so what are the specific challenges that you see in the SSA market?
First, let's say what we need where we need to bridge the gap is the connectivity first. So there's a connectivity challenge. That's very important. that this is the challenge of connectivity and independence, let's say, of Africa. 90% today of internet traffic is routed to Europe, and only 10% is only routed locally, because there was, let's say, a bandwidth deficit during several many years, and now it's changing with a with the cable, submarine cables, and the new peering data center and CDN solutions that are expanding in Africa. So the second challenge is connectivities to host these services locally. A few content players are really relying on the local infrastructure and data center to store their, for budget reason, for cost, the content locally. So we need to change this, and as Orange operator, we are working on that. And François knows better than me the topic of this internet bandwidth and challenge. The second one, let's say, and the most important for me as a let's say content unit, is the SVOD maturity of awareness. Priscilla, as an introduction, you said that there is a huge potential in Africa. I agree with you. There is a strong potential, but do not forget that today the market is still not mature. And we've led a study in Ivory Coast, let's say 1 year and a half ago. Maybe we need to update it, but only 20% of the population was aware of the concept of the SVOD really. And again, I get back to what I said, that you need to understand that the challenge is about addressing the right segment at this stage. So there is a window opportunity to understand this. Other challenge is the content production and distribution, as mentioned by Craig and Michael, is linked to the local content versus the international ones. As Orange, we need to, as I said, diversify our catalog, partner with the local content providers to support the ecosystem locally, and also to negotiate with international partners. Africa is not yet, let's say, a crowded battlefield of these international players like Netflix, Amazon versus the local ones, but there is a big threat on the local ecosystem because they don't have the budget that has Netflix, and the lack of lot of resources. So, which lead to last, let's say, challenge for us is the business model and negotiation with the partners. So with these international partners, we want to also to distribute the service. Some of them are Africa is not a priority for telco distribution, but others are now more open to a revenue share model basis, which we avoid NGs, for instance, so we can deploy faster and at a better condition locally. So this is for me, let's say the main challenge, and as to face to our solution and our reply first in regarding the local content and the difficulty to negotiate best content for our customers. We started 2 years ago, for instance, in Orange Senegal. They've launched their own video service called Wido, which is their own SVOD platform, which started at 100 francs CFA per day and provide local and origin content. They have also launched, they co-produced their own series, which is Diamond House, which was a big success in Senegal. And they launched also the last season of Idol, which is a very first famous popular series in Senegal. The season 7, sorry, which aired for the first time on our platform. So we reply by creating not an entire ecosystem, but driving our own Orange SVOD services where it is relevant, let's say.
Thank you very much, Sami. So François, from a wholesale perspective, so how do you monitor the rise of OTT, and also talk a bit about the importance of a reliable end-to-end connectivity to ensure a better customer quality of experience?
Okay, great to be with all of you this morning, and thank you, Priscilla. Well, in the wholesale business, in the telecom wholesale business, we actually interconnect operators with each other. And we also connect, so MNOs and ISPs with content providers to enable the access to the content by the end users. So in this perspective, we have the major content providers as customers. So Netflix, the Netflixes and Google and Facebook and so on of the world, and with Viacom and et cetera, et cetera. And so we have a privileged position to monitor the rise of the OTT service through the evolution of the traffic and the growth of the traffic related to all this OTT video content. So for instance, since the COVID-19 crisis, we have been able to monitor the huge increase of volumes for OTT content consumption, and which is actually directly the translation of the usage that so Craig, Michael, and Sami have presented before me. Now moving to maybe your second point, which is how to ensure the quality of experience. So this quality of experience rely upon the end-to-end connectivity and the quality of the networks from the eyeball up to the servers of the content providers. But the key, so on top of the right IP network to support all this traffic, the quality of experience is also relying a lot on the CDN infrastructure and the CDN service. So the CDN is content delivery network, and these technologies have been developed to ensure the best quality of experience for video consumption over an OTT service. But based on top of the technology by itself, it is based on servers. And the closer these servers are to the end users, the better the quality of experience will be. The closer the servers are, the highest bit rate you can ensure. And the highest the bit rate, the highest is the engagement of the end user. The closer the servers are from the end users, the lower the latency will be. And you know that if the user clicks on the video, it has to start immediately. If he has to wait 5 seconds, you lose 1 out of 4 of them. So the audience is reduced. So that's where CDN are a key component to the end-to-end quality of experience, and the location of servers is part of it.
Thank you very much, Francois. So Sami, Greg, and Michael did mention about connectivity issue, cost of data. So how do you deal with connectivity issue and cost of data for your end user?
Excuse me, who is answering this question?
I think that this Sami is.
I'm sorry, I thought it was for François. Okay, so first, yeah, the cost of data is very, it's as mentioned by Michael, as a content provider, he knows that it has a cost for him, and also it has a cost for our customers. So when you put on the table 1 gigabyte or 1 hour of video, for out-of-pocket expense, the customer will always select the 1 gigabyte. So we need to size properly the package of data, even 0.8 or discount the data for video. I mean, to give the choice and to let, the customer use without any bill shock this SVOD service. So this is the first point. And we made a lot of progress in the MENA region and on sub-Saharan countries on that daily prices, data inclusion, and we are trying at a positive margin, the data on the package. The second point is linked to the infrastructure, as mentioned by Francois. We launched several mobile services, TV services in Africa, several countries like Madagascar and others, and we faced issues regarding the audience and the traffic and subscription because of this cost of data. But we had a good experience with CDNs and also our Orange CDN teams in the Orange Ivory Coast, where they launched data pass videos, and they are using local CDNs, and with these local CDNs, they can offer the data unlimited to watch mobile TV or SVOD services or their TV services of Orange Côte d'Ivoire. So they really increased the subscription with that. So we try to expand and try to work more and more closely when it is possible with our wholesale team to try to extend this kind of best practice.
Thank you very much, Sami. So Michael, so how do you measure user satisfaction and the performance of your digital services in particular in terms of quality of services? So just maybe before you answer that, so I have a question from attendees. So I just remind you that you can use the Q&A box for your question on the Zoom control bar. So Michael, you have the floor.
Yeah, how do we measure, can you repeat the question? Sorry. Pardon.
So how do you measure your user satisfaction and the performance of your digital services, in particular in terms of quality of service?
Primarily it's through feedback. But again, I'd like to emphasize that our deployment is over a managed network. So it's as opposed to the open internet, our deployment is over a private managed network. We're on the verge of launching on the MTN network now in Nigeria, which means we're within that space. One of the advantages is that it gives you much higher quality of service. So the bandwidth efficiency in that situation is much higher than as opposed to as in a situation where you're using the regular internet to stream. So the quality of service is much higher. Feedback has been great. A lot of our measure is obviously from feedback from subscribers. The only limitation we have had thus far, one, connectivity, which has already been mentioned. Situations where the user is in a location where there's only 2G availability, that person cannot get access to the service. So we get feedback from users through the app stores, through our app in itself, and also directly through our communication channel that we have established. The work, it's a work in progress. We cannot wait for when we come out commercially and experience that aspect of things. Yes, so that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. So François, we have seen that connectivity is recurring. So everybody's talking about connectivity, good connection. So what, as an operator, telco operator, so what are the investments that Orange is doing in Africa in terms of connectivity to help, operators to improve their connectivity, but also to improve their, the quality of their OTT offering?
Okay, Orange actually invests €1 billion a year in Africa, and these investments are mostly about the networks. The primary part is about the national networks, so the access network backhaul, and then national backbones in each of the country where Orange is running the B2C and B2C, so the B2C services, to ensure so all these mobile and internet and broadband services in the almost 20 countries we are active in. But an important part also of this investment is also allocated to the backbones, to the international backbones who are connecting each and every country with each other and with the other continents. So it is about subsea cables, who are a very important part of the worldwide internet, actually. So most of the traffic between the different continents is going through these subsea cables, and we're investing a lot in this area. And we are also investing to set up the appropriate IP transit points of presence, which are the points where we can interconnect so international content with national networks. And we have also, for instance, a unique terrestrial backbone in Western Africa. So these are the kind of investment that we are doing to support, to provide the appropriate IP networks to the African users and to the content providers. And we're also developing our own CDN, and we are probably the CDN player with the highest level of investment in Africa. So with something like 30 points of presence by the end of this year.
Thank you very much, François. So now we are moving to the last part of this webinar. So talking about telco and OTT partnerships. So beyond connectivity, African OTT faces other challenges, such as lack of efficient digital payment solution. So Michael, does that impact on your business? So how do you deal with that?
Pardon me, I was responding to a Q&A question. So could you repeat that? Pardon me.
So we have talked a lot about connectivity, but African OTT providers also face other challenges, such as lack of efficient digital payment solutions. So how does that in fact impact on your business, and how do you deal with that?
Yes. So there are several challenges so far in this part of the world. There's distribution, which is being addressed. There's also the challenge of payment. How does the user pay? So typically people would pay either with a debit card or with a bank transfer, etc. In our case, we opted to go with paying with airtime, leveraging on our partnership with the telco. So the user, through his own connected device, is able to make his payment directly to the telco using available airtime. So we found that that's the most efficient and convenient and straightforward means of payment for the bulk of the market, more or less everyone, as a matter of fact. We are also looking forward to the mobile money that's growing, that's coming up very, very quickly. We look forward to that very much. We think that will be a very, very good environment for us, right? But again, that is a bit new, so we look forward to that. We're open to all kinds of modes of payment. However, primarily now, our major means of payment is using airtime, so the users use airtime. So that's it.
Thank you very much, Michael. So Sami, maybe here you can give us an overview of the mobile money and solution that Orange is providing.
Yes. First, I would say that a telco and like Orange is the main institution able to build the largest population in the country after the States. And we do it daily on our prepaid base, as like Michael said, on the airtime. So this is the main, feature we propose as a billing solution. But we are not trying to expand this kind of solution or alternate solution with more largest solution innovative solution like Orange Money, which we have more than 90 millions of active customers on Orange Money. We has used Orange Money with our partners Canal Plus to offer the pay TV subscription. Let's allow our customers to pay the Canal Plus subscription through Orange Money. So maybe we can try to replicate this with other partners. We're also creating a new type of wallet in certain countries to pay the vast value-added services and content. For instance, in Morocco, we have a huge success on gaming using this kind of wallet, e-wallet. I would say that Orange is really creating an ecosystem of financial inclusion and payment, with also upcoming the launch of the Orange Bank in Africa, which will really complete our whole strategy on that. So we are more and more, let's say, a partner that offer this network, but also offer the advanced billing solution and also mechanism. So we work also with our partners, SVOD partners, on how we bill. Is it daily? Is it something we do on micro smart charging? How we, let's say, consider the scope? Is it only prepaid, or we do extend to postpaid? So there is a lot of work we try and test and learn. We are doing with our partners also on billing mechanism, try to increase the billing rate.
Thank you very much, Sami. So coming to piracy and security concerns, we have seen that it impact on the OTT video business in the region. So Francois, what are the options that content providers and telco have to fight back this implication?
Well, there are actually a range of threats for OTT content providers. So the most famous one is probably piracy, which has been existing for years in the pay TV world, which has been transformed into hacking pay TV services, into streaming illegal content. And so fighting this kind of piracy is a specific area where players like Dataxis Orca, for instance, can support OTT content providers. But besides piracy, there are other threats in the field of cybersecurity. For instance, distributed denial of service of your origin servers or of your web portal. And for such kind of threats, so the CDN technologies include a solution to mitigate this kind of risks as well. And so all the global security risk is something which has to be managed with experts of anti-piracy and cybersecurity solutions.
Thank you very much, Francois. So we have mentioned a strong ties between telco and OTT. So beyond technical partnerships, so Greg, I would like you to reply to this question. So what other opportunity do you see to foster the development of OTT in the region, so specifically in the SSA market?
Perfect. Priscilla, the biggest opportunity that I see is better collaboration between the various partners across the ecosystem that Sami was talking about earlier, be it the telcos, the platform operators, aggregators, content providers. How do we all share some of the business risk to ensure that we give the service the best chance of success? So what this means for Viacom CBS as a content provider is, how can we be more flexible on minimum guarantees for licensing of content? That's clearly a pain point for Michael and his service. How do we become more flexible over time and really create a financially sustainable and profitable OTT ecosystem? But I think ultimately for us, I think success will be shaped by listening to what the customer wants. What are their local issues, and how are we trying to find solves for their issues? Is it the connectivity issue or data pricing issue that Sami and Michael spoke about, and how do we deliver solutions? I really think what Mark and his team are doing at Super TV, is brilliant. They're eliminating a key barrier being data affordability issues. They're listening to the customer and delivering a solution. And for us as Viacom CBS, as a provider of content, I believe our essential ingredient is creating an enabling environment for telling really great African stories. Strong local content that is relevant, resonates, has good production quality, will always translate to eyeballs on screen. We've seen that audiences resonate with content that reflects them, their history, their lives, their ambitions. Mm-hmm. So for us, we're really exploring co-investment opportunities in creating and telling great African stories across both linear and OTT platforms. And I can share a quick example. In the next 2 weeks, 28th of September, we're launching our single biggest content investment to date, Sono, a South African telenovela that's going to play across both pay TV and SVOD across sub-Saharan African. And this wouldn't have been possible without the joint co-investment from multiple partners. And I strongly believe that this is the only approach that we can create a win-win ecosystem for all of us, and including our partners.
Thank you very much, Greg. So I remind the audience that you can still drop your question. So I'm just looking at the question Q&A box. So I have a question for Francois. So which backbone technology do you rely on in Africa to make your infrastructure agile to cope with increased demand for bandwidth because of COVID? I think that we talked a bit about that at the beginning of the webinar.
Yeah, so the core technologies are about fiber for the backbones of Orange, either in subsea cables or in terrestrial networks. And so flexibility comes from the ability to lit additional wavelengths according to the growth of the traffic. And so a key point in terms of getting more flexibility in managing these kind of networks is also coming from the virtualization of network functions, which is a growing technology we take advantage of.
Okay, so I have a question for Michael. So Michael, what are your solution advantage on DSTV, which is booming in Nigeria, and almost every house is subscribed to? So what is your competition strategy in this case?
Thank you. I mean, there's no advantage to DSTV. You know, they're giant. We look up to them. So we look forward to coming into this space. The main thing is that we're more or less on different models. DSTV is a satellite deployment, direct to home deployment. I know they are coming more towards OTT, but again, I will point to the challenge I had mentioned earlier of data. There's DSTV now, which you stream as an active subscriber. You can stream over in the internet, but the data challenges still make it a little bit unpopular, right? So this is why we did, like Craig had said, we tried to listen to the pain of the market. So we have tried to eliminate that cost by partnering with the telco and deploying over the LAN resources of the telco, as opposed to over the open internet, to reduce the cost for the subscriber. So that is our strategy. Of course, the essence of this is the consumption of content. So we always try to improve our content offerings with partnerships with Viacom CBS, companies like Viacom CBS, who have been great to work with. And of course, all locally, the aggregators we work with and the production companies that we work with have been really great. So as long as we can bring the right content offering, we think we're in a very good place, having overcome that challenge of data. So that's our main strategy. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. So Greg, I have a broad question from an attendee for you. So today, some OTT are developed in Africa. So do you think that African OTT would be able to resist against international OTTs?
Yeah, I think even from an international perspective, with the international platforms, I know even looking at our super service with CBS All Access, I think in every market there will be different approaches, very opportunistic based on content avails, etc. I definitely am a firm believer that our local OTT has an immense opportunity just based on the local content and being able to tell those great African stories. That's going to be the key differentiator versus competitive operators.
Thank you, Greg. So I have a question for Orange. I think that it's more directed towards Francois. So is Orange building its own CDN or a CDN based on major CDN companies from the market?
So it is our own CDN that we're deploying, that we have deployed actually.
Thank you. Sami, so what telco are doing in order to give trust to OTT player to enter into the market? So the main step back for OTT and international player is the local complication. So we have a question from Hussein.
Yes, that's a real question, and we face this issue with some of our partners. So let's say by our distribution model, because we propose to act as a distributor, so we manage locally the VAT, we manage even any withholding tax to pay, or we pay it with our aggregators. So we facilitate the entry of the market, the go-to market, by also putting our marketing assets on the table, and maybe also CDN's infrastructure as well. So it will help. So let's say for the government, we do not interfere on, even if there is a local regulation to discuss with the regulator, for sure not. But we definitely help again with our distribution model, which is in fact a good vehicle for local distribution and faster go-to-market.
Thank you very much, Sami. So Greg, I have a question regarding original content being produced and launched across network in South Africa. So we have someone from Nigeria which is asking, so when will this come to Nigeria, and on which platform will they be available?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, to give you a sense, we've recently created Viacom Studios Africa, that their primary objective or goal is to provide great African content, and that includes Nigeria. So yeah, we'll be creating content that can play across the continent, but we're also creating Nigerian specific content, and we're working with a local operator in terms of creating relevant content as early as Q1 FY21. And to answer the second part of your question around which platforms, it'll be across all platforms. So it'll be from linear TV. You know, we work not only with DSTV in Nigeria. We have blocks on Silverbird Television, ARG, NTA, but it'll also be in the OTT space, and hopefully through platforms like Michael Super TV, you'll be able to get that local content.
Thank you very much, Greg. So maybe we can take one last question for Michael. So what solution do you envisage to reduce the cost of the data consumption related to OTT services for the end user? And they're also asking you, so how can you offer an OTT services with no data cost?
Yeah, thank you. Like I said earlier, you know, the main thing, there were two options for us. Either we built our own network to do this, or we partnered with an existing network. Obviously, we didn't have the funding to build our own network. So that's why we're partnering with the telcos, in particular MTN and Nine Mobile in Nigeria. This is the first phase. So what we have done is that we have localized some very high-end servers here in Nigeria. And then we have done an integration with the telcos. It's very technical stuff. So as a result, we're able to deliver the content to the end user using the telco's existing local area network resources. It's technical stuff, like I had said. We tested it, it works. Tested it on the Nine Mobile network, it works. We're about to roll out, hopefully before the end of next month. So that's the way. Because rather than the open internet, where you need the internet to drive, to push the content, it is running on the local. I'll give you an example. If you're in your home and you have a network printer, for example, connected over a router, and then you click to print 100 pages from your laptop computer, you don't need an internet subscription for the 100 pages to go to the printer and to print. It goes over the LAN resources, even though it's wireless, there's still a connection. So that's a layman's way of putting it. So that's what we have done, and we can't wait to come out to the market. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. So maybe I have a last question for Orange. I think it's more directed toward Francois. So what is the main bottleneck today in the network infrastructure generating the high data costs? We were just talking about the zero data. So is it the access network or in the backhaul infrastructure?
Well, in general, to deliver all these services and this very high bandwidth, we have to invest a lot in the networks. I mentioned 1 billion a year by Orange in Africa, and so where the highest level of investment is related to the access network and the direct backhaul. Then the closer you are to the end user, the more expensive it is actually in terms of investments.
So thank you very much, Sami, Greg, Michael, and Francois for this insightful session. So I remind the attendees as well as the panelists that the webinar will be on our website tomorrow, along with the presentation which is being asked. So thank you very much, and hopefully we see you next time for another wonderful session. So thank you very much, and have a nice day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you all.
Thank you.